What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Age of Quarantine. My name is Chris Enriquez. I'm your host. Thanks for joining me tonight. This is episode 100. I can't believe it. It's, probably not the best circumstances that caused us to start this show, but I can't believe we made it to episode 100. I want to thank St. Vitus for turning my vision into something much greater, which was honestly just something for me to do on my own as I was kind of worried about the quarantine and not being able to go out and hang out with friends. And the show took a life of its own. So thanks to everybody at St. Vitus, like I said. And thank you to Dave Castillo, my co-host, and Artie Shepard, and everybody who has supported the venue during this tough time and helped raise all the money over the past few months. More importantly, I want to thank all my guests. I've had some amazing guests, and tonight is no exception. What a treat. We have the legendary Vinny Stigma, the godfather of New York hardcore. What can I say about the guy that hasn't been said already? He's the godfather of New York hardcore. He's the only founding member of Agnostic Front. In fact, there is a movie called Godfathers of Hardcore on Showtime about Vinny Stigma, my guest tonight, and lead singer Roger Moret. Talks about their relationship, life in the streets in New York in the 80s, and of course their band together. He's a living legend. If it wasn't for him, there would be no Madball, there would be no Sick of It All, there would be no Gorilla Biscuits, there would be no Youth of Today, and countless others. We have to thank him for a culture that has changed many of our lives. And we couldn't be more excited to spend the next hour chatting with him about his life, past and present.
Hey, that sounds good.
All right. Does that sound good to you, Vinny?
Sounds great to me, Chris. Thank you.
Hey, Vinny, thank you so much for making time here. And Sid, thank you for making this happen for both of us. Really appreciate it.
Hey, with the technology, what are you going to do?
Hey, Sid, before we get started, I promised you would give you a plug for your show. You want to tell everybody about your show?
All right, guys, really quick. This is Vinny's show, not mine. Go on to mixlr.com/mixlr.com/SDK sound system. You can also find me here on Instagram with Sid_sound system for more information. Let me shut the hell up, because it's Vinny time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Vinny Stigma. Vinny, how have you been managing to get through this difficult time during the pandemic, man?
Not too bad, Chris. Tell you the truth, be honest with you. You know, I dropped the record, Get Loud, in November. And then we took the little time off for, the holidays. Then I went on the Persistence tour with Civ and Wisdom and Change, H2O, Billy Bio, a couple of bands from LA. And we had a great tour. And I came home on January 27th, was the Monday. And, after a tour like that, you take a few weeks off like that. So I took a little vacation, whatever, and then boom, I was supposed to go on tour, and this thing happened, so
yeah.
It's a little rough,
Absolutely, and Get Loud is fantastic. I was at the video shoot at Bowery Electric when you guys played there. With
cool, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That was great. And I wanted to bring up something that, since we're on the St. Vitus Bar channel, you celebrated your 60th birthday here at St. Vitus, and there were scenes from the party showed in Showtime's Godfathers of Hardcore. What do you remember about that party? Any special memories from that party you want to share?
Yeah, well, I had a great time that night, and I remember my friend Vinny Magic came, and he was doing magic tricks for everybody. So, I had a little entertainment, you know what I mean? Then I had people bought me 8-9 cakes. And instead of leaving them on the bar where everybody could have them, I paid, they took them on stage, and bada boom, that was the end of that. Everybody was slipping, cake was everywhere.
Oh, it was a blast. It was a blast.
They wind up all on the distortion boxes and all the little, on the floor. And God, it was great, but I had a great time.
Oh man, well, it was an honor on behalf of everyone at the club for you as a New York legend, not just a New York hardcore legend, but a legend in New York City, for us to have you there. So, very cool. that you decided to do that. I'd like to ask you a little bit about your history today, since we have you for an hour. When did you start playing guitar, and how did you learn?
I was about 14.
Okay.
You know, Jimi Hendrix was like my hero. You know, I wanted to play guitar, so you're young, I couldn't afford or get an electric guitar, so I got these acoustic guitars. So I started fooling around a little bit, and I was like, get the fuck out! I don't want this. I wound up breaking them, so I smashed them. You know, they were cheap guitars, you know. So finally, one day, I bought a Fender Mustang. It was today that guitar's probably worth a lot of money. It was a blue with a blue racing stripe. It was just the coolest guitar. It was very Jimi Hendrix, you know. And that was my first guitar. It had an alligator case. The case alone is worth like $500. Today, people collect cases. Like, what? I threw these cases out. Like, but that was my when I first started, and I was young, and Jimi Hendrix, and I started a band called Black Angus. And I was in the band with Sally Donuts. She passed away. Frankie Heroes, I think he's in jail somewhere. And this other kid, who knows where he is. But I went on to go with other bands, and they just stood in the neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wound up going out of the neighborhood into the village. I wound up going to studios, and I just got involved, like, somehow, you know. And I always wanted to be a guitar player in a band, or like, I just like a bunch of guys get together, you know, and gals, you know, ordering pizza. Later on, we're going to have cannolis, by the way, over here.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, I was going to ask you about your favorite.
I cooked for him tonight. I made ziti tonight.
You know, after I saw you cooking when we were talking a little earlier, it inspired me, and I made some pasta over here that.
Hey, all right. Now I know you're from Long Island.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, because the night I met you, like, it was in Texas.
Yeah, that was one of the times we met was in Texas, because my band was playing outside, and you were playing.
Right, playing at the same club, like, kind of.
Yes, yeah.
I remember meeting you that night. And that night, MVP came, you know, the wrestler.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was there that night. He's like my friend, you know. And he came down to see us, and that was really cool. That's the night I met my cousin Joseph. Joseph Remedy. He owns Texas Silver Rush. He makes agnostic jewelry. He's in Texas, and I haven't seen him in like maybe 40 years or whatever. And he stood outside and says, "Cousin Vincent." That's why I know he's, you know. Usually when my mother called me, "Vincent," I know I'm in trouble. You know?
That was a big night.
And I met my cousin, and that's the night I met you.
Well, I remember that night because I know Roger wasn't feeling well, and then Billy Milano, I think he was there, right? He got up and did some songs.
Billy Milano, yeah, right, yeah, Billy, yeah.
That is so funny. You have a great memory for having traveled
I
everywhere.
wonder who named Billy Milano Billy Milano.
Uh-oh.
You know, it's Italian, you know, it's an Italian thing, you know?
Yeah. Well, I wanna ask a lot of stuff, but before we move away from the guitar, your guitar history, how did you who taught you? Did you learn yourself?
I taught myself, but I also studied under Ronnie Lee of the New York Philharmonic. He passed away a couple of years ago, but it was $80 an hour then. I couldn't really afford that money, you know? And I used to go once a week, and you had to buy the book. I had to get transportation. I had a job. I was only making like $140 a week, and I spent $80 on on the lesson. Plus, and I used to practice, and it was learning to be a real musician, you know. But you know what? I just want to get together with my friends, and and just have a good time, because that's what music's supposed to be all about. Having a good time, no matter how good you are. You could be great and still be a miserable bastard. You know?
Absolutely. Well, so you were playing in bands before you started discovering punk rock and hardcore music.
Oh yeah. Okay. There was no punk rock when I started being in bands.
Right. And then I guess
73, I was in the band, Black Angus.
Yes, right. And I've seen pictures of you online or in books and stuff like that before you were into punk. You had like the long hair back then and everything. Were you? How did you discover punk rock? When and how did that happen?
Well, I'm fortunate that I live near CBGB's. And I always used to go up to studios. I was always involved in bands, and I was always involved with music, kind of, like the fun music. And I lived near CBGB's, so that's how I got hooked in there. Because I used to go to CBGB's when it was still Hilly's on the Bowery. It wasn't CBGB's.
Right. Okay.
And of course, my older cousins used to hang out there. It was a dive bar. Well, it always was a dive bar. And that's how, I got in. And Hilly loved me, by the way. And man, a few words, because I used to do the matinees back in the day. We used to do the benefits. I did more benefits for CBGBs than anybody.
Yeah.
I was very good friends with Hilly. Man, a few words. He loved me. Because when I load in, he was there. And I used to go, and I was going out like, yo, Hilly, coffee? Yeah, I know, I hook him. I come back with the Pignoli cookies. Oh, don't forget about it. He loved me.
Oh,
and then 2 minutes later, he turned around, he's gone. And he leaves Roger to run the joint.
Oh, man.
Really? Roger was bar backing then, and and there was Connie, we had all us in there. Tommy Victor he used to do the sound. He was a sound man in there.
Right. I remember that. I mean, I eventually moved to the East Village about on 5th and Bowery when it was still there. And I remember seeing Tommy do sound there. Now, the first few punk rock bands that you saw when you were going out there, what were those bands?
The Dead Boys, Stimulators, Von Elmo, Mark Truth and the Liars, Joey Miserable and the Worms.
Yeah.
There's so many bands. I'm going to forget. I hate that. Leave somebody out.
No.
They control a lot of bands in there.
I love that because I'm so fascinated by the history because your band and everything that you've done had such a huge impact on the past few decades of hardcore, punk, metal bands, and so just to get into your roots is super fascinating. Now, what about? I'm gonna sort of pivot here and talk about tattooing because what I want to get into is New York culture. Tattooing back then was not easy to go out and get tattoos. First question is, what was your first tattoo?
1972, I think it was, 71, 72, this one.
Wow.
Do the minutes on that. It's like 47 years, how much, 72, what, 82, 19, 72? Woo! Over 40 years.
48 years? Yeah.
Yeah,
How, back in the day.
After this one, I came home with this one because it says Mom on a rose, so she wouldn't yell at me.
Wow. Yeah. Now, see,
I'm a good Italian boy, you want to give you a beating, what are you going to do, Keep your mouth shut, take the beating. And then I got this one, it was a big tattoo. This was $20.
Wow.
Yeah, this was like $13. I got tattoos from all the old school guys,
Well, so when you're talking about getting tattoos back then, for some people that weren't around, how do you go about even getting the tattoos back then?
Well, it was underground, you know, and then we're going 70s now.
Right.
Okay, I'm talking 70s. There was Tommy DeVita. He was and Freddie, some Hell's Angel guy that worked with him. And I always used to go to hang out with Tommy DeVita, and I always used to go, Tommy DeVita, dun, 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 Tommy DeVita. Yeah. But he loved me too because he's a paisan,
Right. That's amazing.
Freddie, Big Vinny, they all loved me,
Right, because it was illegal until '97.
Oh yeah, that was on 4th Street, and then I got a couple other tattoos. And then when the 80s came, like 81, 82, I used to do tattoos right here where I'm sitting.
So you learned how to tattoo, and you would tattoo.
No, I didn't learn how to tattoo, but we tattooed in this apartment.
Okay.
Because my family's living in this building since 1925. My grandfather used to make wine in the basement. He was the wine guy in the neighborhood,
Yeah, and you were born in the building.
I was born here, yeah.
That is unbelievable. I want to get into that too. I'm going to jump around. The tattoo shop, New York Hardcore Tattoo with Jimmy. Are you guys up and running yet, or is it closed right now?
Yeah, we're running. We're having a hard time,
Yeah.
Mark is trying his best, man, and it's been really rough. A lot of tattoos, a lot of restaurants, like last night, my friend's restaurant, they got the chairs in the street now, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it rained. You know what I mean? The 1 or 2 nights he's got, like, on the weekend, and it's just a shame with this whole thing,
Absolutely.
But me, I'm trying to lay low. I'm trying to do, I'm trying to wait it out. So I smoke a lot of cigars. I drink a lot of wine. I tell you, I'm losing weight. How's that?
That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Hell yeah. Well, you've always been very youthful. We can tell. We can see that.
I lost my age, baby.
So I want to ask you a little bit about A7 now, because this whole thing to me that's fascinating is talking about the New York culture from back then. The legendary A7 venue that Agnostic Front, Murphy's Law, and many other first wave New York hardcore bands played at. How did it start? How did you guys find it? What's the whole story there?
Okay, go back before that a little bit, early 80s. Let's say 78. Okay? I remember one night I did my New York tour. I played CBGB's, Max's Kansas City, and A7.
Okay.
And one in a car. We did it in a car.
That's crazy.
I did 3 shows at once because Dan used to play like 3 in the morning.
Is this Agnostic Front or is it
3 in the morning? So when the matinees came on later on, it was like, wow, this is early. Because on Sunday, it used to be Saturday matinees. And I used to watch the Kung Fu movies before I go to the matinee because, hey, here now, Master Vinny Stigma is very skilled with his feet. and me and Billy Milano, speaking to him, we always used to joke, watch the Kung Fu movies and go to the hardcore show. And then they changed it to us on the Sunday. It was a Sunday matinee. So I'm Italian. I eat 3 o'clock on Sunday. The matinee starts about 3 o'clock.
Right.
So I eat a lot of food, pasta. So when I go to that matinee, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to go, baby. I got a food full of belly full of food. It was great, because I tell you the truth, at CBGB's, I could throw my cigar and hit it. That's how close it is to where I'm sitting.
Amazing. And back then, when at the A7 club, though, some of the shows would start really late, right? Super late.
It was like more of an after-hour joint.
Right.
Totally illegal. It was great back in the day. It was really cool.
Now
I miss it.
Yeah, well, we might end. I was talking to Gallo the other day about where we're headed here. We might be back in those days again if this is, So you're getting out of shows at A7. Is it like sunlight out by the time it's over?
Oh yeah. Oh, forget it. Like you walk out of there like
Wow.
Because it was so dark. I live in the night,
Right.
And my world is noisy. And I live in the night, and when you come out of there, your ears are ringing, you're all moshing around, rolling on the floor, your hands are filthy. It was just so awesome.
When did Agnostic Front officially start?
Well, we say 82,
okay.
But the end of 81. But it didn't start until I got rocking.
Right.
82.
82.
I mean, I had other guys before him, and they were great. They were my friends, Keith and Jimmy and John and this one and that one. But when Roger came, it sealed the deal. He was my partner. He's my partner in life.
And before Roger showed up, though, I know there was a couple AF songs that you already had, like Power. What were some of the other songs?
Power, I played Power in my band, the Eliminators. That's one of my bands that I carried over from the 70s.
Okay.
I wrote the song in 77. you know, and I still play it, and it's still, I love playing it because it holds a lot of memories to me. And
Right.
besides, I think everybody, before they play a lead in the guitar, you got to yell, Stigma.
Yeah, there you go.
And
Well,
you play the lead, wow, it goes faster. It's better. Sounds better.
did you write the lyrics to Power
Mhm.
also?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And so yeah, that was Power the only song before Roger that you had, or were there a couple of? Okay,
Oh,
got it.
no, we had United Blood, Friend or Foe, a couple other songs. I can't remember, but a bunch of songs. I have basically the United Blood EP is before Roger. Roger threw a couple of songs in there too, from his band, the Psychos. I was
Right.
always a big Psychos fan, you know. I wanted to always be in the Psychos, but they never wanted to let me in. You're in agnostic front. You don't want to be in the Psychos, you know. Like,
I love that. I love that footage on YouTube that you can find of the show with the Psychos and I think Cause for Alarm and AF at A7, one of those early shows that you guys played together. Now, this is a loaded question, but when and how did you meet a lot of these guys like Watson, Todd Youth, Jimmy G, Rabies, Harley?
Okay, one at a time. Here, I'll give you a quick summary. Jimmy was 14 years old, used to come around. I loved him. I still love him. You know, he was a cute little kid, you know. He came 14 years old, got tattooed right where I'm sitting, 14 years old, got tattooed here. Todd Youth, 11 years old, used to run away from his home, come here to hang out, you know, shave our heads, you know, get tattooed. He didn't get tattooed, but whatever. I used to call his mother and say, excuse me, your son's here, you know, because, you know, I want you to know, you know, where he is. By the way, did you feed him? The kid's skinny. Hey, get out of there, smoking a cigarette. Get him out of there. I was always, you know, like kind of a mentor. You know what I mean? I was a little older, so I felt that I had a responsibility. I was the only one with a driver's license, a telephone back then, and an apartment. And I lived with all my aunts and grandmother and my mother. We all lived here. So when all the kids, the fellas, you know, Jimmy or Todd Youth or Rabies or whatever, whomever, anyone, they would, you know, my aunt would hear us in here and say, Vincent! That's how I know it's my family. Open the door! And I opened the door. My aunt used to come in with a big bowl of pasta for all of us. But don't wash the dish. Just give it back to me because it was the Coppa di Bandi dish, you know, the big pasta dish, hand painted. She was afraid I might chip it, you know.
Oh man.
So, yeah, that was that.
You took care of a lot of people back then.
Yeah, I did. You know, I was in the position to.
Right.
You know,
you had friends that were living in the streets and squatting.
Yeah, you know, Roger, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Everyone, a lot of people lived in this apartment with me.
And your family was very welcoming for everybody.
Oh my, yeah, forget it. You know, they all know. And any of the old ladies when they say, Vincent, I saw one of your friends, you know, the kid with the mohawk. You know, they're like, yeah, I know.
I love that. And then, is it true that at one point you were Freddie Madball's legal guardian?
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Freddie lived here for a year at least, maybe 2 years, whatever, long enough. So he lived up here, and he had to register to school. So I had to be his legal guardian. You know what I mean? Roger was I think, in Florida. I think he was going to Harley Davidson school. I really don't, you know, that's a question for him. But he was, I think, in Florida. And Freddie lived here, and, you know, it was good fun. I never forget when he was 7 years old, coming on tour with us, like touring the nation with this little, and, you know, sometimes he'd be down or they, you know, fool around, tease him or whatever, and he'd get all mad, and he says, don't worry, Freddie, one day, fuck that, me and you, we're gonna have a band, Madball. And it come true. That's why Madball will always be my band.
And I want to get into that too, because I want to later on. I want to talk about some favorite bands of different genres. But that's such a fascinating story. You know, I had Roger on the show last week, and we were talking about how when Freddie was 7, you guys would be hanging out, and you'd send him out to the store to get 40s at the bodega. And I said, nobody would go with him, and they wouldn't mess with him. And he said, no, everyone knew who he was. They knew who we were, and no one was going to mess with him.
Yeah. He was our mascot, tell you the truth. I never forget. I used to get my guitar, strap it on, pick Freddie up, put him on my shoulders, play the guitar with the little kid singing on my shoulders. And it was like, this is the hardest thing ever. You know?
Oh, man,
so
that's wild.
I had a history of doing that, you know, later on in the 90s, you know, like late 80s, 90s.
Yeah,
so one day I'm at a show, I played a show, and this big kid comes up to me and says, yo, Uncle Vinny, you remember me? I said, I don't know. He says, when I was a little kid, you took me on stage and put me on your shoulders. It says, well, that ain't happening anymore. Ain't happening.
That's amazing. The whole saga and story of Madball and how it is connected to Agnostic Front is one of the greatest hardcore punk rock legends. And I just love hearing more about I'm going to jump around a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
But back in those days, obviously the Lower East Side and Lower Manhattan was a violent place. A lot of fighting in the streets. Roger talked a little bit about that on the show when it came to squatting and trying to find buildings. How bad was it back in the 80s for you? And did you personally encounter a lot of issues back then?
Me, no, because I lived here. I don't even see it.
Right.
I mean, I was a little older. I was the bad guy then. Also, there were a lot of people on the Lower East Side, and I know a lot of people from the neighborhood, you know.
Right. It sounds like you were the responsible one, the one that.
Yeah, and everybody knew Agnostic Front, you know. You know this, right?
So back.
They give you a beating over there.
Back to Agnostic Front. Like, can you talk to me about how the band started exactly, and just really start there?
Okay. Well, when punk turned to hardcore, that transition, a lot of the guys didn't make the jump. You know what I mean? When the newer kids, the hardcore kids, started coming around, like, let's just say, the older punks really didn't accept them. You know what I mean? And they were like, well, where were you? What do you mean, where? He's with us now. Who cares where he was? You know? I'm very, like, accepting. You know, I got an open mind like that. Hey, you're with me. You got my back. I'm with you. I got your back. And they were like, all right, what's this hardcore? Like, you know what I mean? So I jumped. I made the jump, and I'm glad I did.
And, I mean, Agnostic Front's always been known for, you know, they say Bad Brains is always about the PMA, but Agnostic Front was about unity and accepting one another.
Unity. And we were PMA before PMA.
Sure, yeah.
It's always like that in our hearts and in our minds, you know?
And so when, let's talk about Victim in Pain. It influenced so many people in New York City. It had a huge role in everything from punk rock to the youth crew stuff to the hardcore stuff. You, what are some of the memories you have about making Victim in Pain and writing that record that you could talk about?
Okay, I made it in my neighborhood. Like 3 blocks from my house, there was a studio, Don Fiore's studio. I used to go down there before there was, like, in the 70s, go down there, you know? It was a cute little studio, and I liked it. I knew Don; he was a nice guy. But it was right in my neighborhood. CBGB's was right in my neighborhood. I tell you, if it wasn't for CBGB's in that studio, I don't think I'd be sitting here right now. But I made the jump, so I go down to the studio. I call it the greatest mistake of my life. Out of timing, the tempo, the tuning, all out. It was like really nobody had electric tuners then. We tuned by ear, you know.
Right.
It's a little, you know, but it's just, it's a moment in time is what it is. a lot of those hardcore records back in the day is a moment in time. And I'm glad, you know, a lot of the bands, whomever they are, because there's too many to mention right now, that they, you know, the early, from 85 under, you know, 84, 85 under, you know, there's a moment in time there that it was captured.
Absolutely. And do you remember how long it took to make that record?
About 15 minutes. It took like maybe a day, 2 days, or whatever.
That's what I love, because there's legendary records, and
you don't dig, just do.
Right. That's amazing, because I only asked because of how legendary it is, and I had a feeling you would say something like that. That, you know, somebody could make something in 2 days that has such a big impact on generations. You know, before, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No. Before we started the show, I was just saying, you know, you wouldn't have Sick of It All, you wouldn't have Gorilla Biscuits, there would be no youth of today if it was not for Victim in Pain.
You know, who's to say? But maybe there would have been another band. You know, I think maybe, who knows? I think more than that. I think the fact that this apartment here was a nucleus for New York hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
Kids, you know, hey, Vinny's my friend from San Francisco. He's, you know, hey, come on up. You know, I always had food. You know, I fed Sid the Kid tonight. How was the food? Good? All right. We're going to have cannolis later. Don't worry.
Oh, well, don't worry. We got 20 more minutes left before you guys can get back to it.
Yeah, I'm in no rush. And, you know, I always took in people. And my mother, the first time my mother saw somebody with dreadlocks, says, Vincent, some guy with the corkscrew hair is looking for you. And I get a kick out of that. You know, every time I open up a wine bottle with a little corkscrew, like, you know, I think of my mom saying that, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's so cute that she called it corkscrew hair, you know?
That's unbelievable. Do you still have, are there other people from your family back then that are still around over there right now?
I'm the only one left. My aunt's mop is still hanging out the window.
Wow. Yeah,
I got a French guy living in my grandmother's apartment. He's all right.
God damn. That's so crazy.
The whole family passed, you know, they passed, you know.
You were definitely keeping it real over there, man.
Yeah, I'm trying, you know.
Well, I love that. I knew a little bit about the history of your place there from not only just the movie Godfather's a Hardcore. We're going to give it a plug again on Showtime. It's still up there for anybody that wants to watch it. But just from reading interviews and watching different interviews, that I knew that you were in the same place. So it is super cool that your place has just as much history as any of the places we just talked about, A7, CBGB's, you know, blah, blah, blah. But, okay, so when Agnostic Front, you were doing your thing for years, you know, what was the moment that you realized that you had international, or just outside of New York, that you had a larger fan base out there?
It was about 86, right? I realized, well, we already crossed the country, and we did this, we did that. But when we played Lemoore's in Brooklyn, that was supposed to be like a big place, because we used to play CBGB's, you know, in little clubs, and A7 and stuff like that. So technically, that was like a, you know, like a higher, you know what I mean? Like famous bands playing there.
Sure.
I got to play in there. So now I knew a guy that owned that joint, you know? So when I found out we were going to play this place, I told the guy, don't worry, I know the guy, forget about it, he's all right, he's going to take care of us. I go there, I didn't get treated right. So the guy's from the neighborhood. So the other guys from the neighborhood, they said, hey, Vinny, how'd it go over there? Because they probably had a piece of the joint. So I said, yeah, it went good, but, you know, I'm pretty disappointed in this, that, and the other thing. He says, oh, yeah? They called the guy back. So the next time I saw the guy, he says, you called him on me. You know, and I write all that. I didn't go back to Lemoore's until I got invited by The Exploited to play, I think, Sex and Violence or one of the other songs. I forget what song Waddy wanted me to play. Because I played with him at CBGB's, the song. He said, "Hey, Vinny, come and play a song with us." I said, "Okay, yabbles." I got up, I played with the Exploited, the one song. I throw myself off the stage, I disappeared. So he invited me again. I think it was, I forget what year it was a lot of years later. And the guy, I don't want to mention his name, says, "Oh, I'm so glad you came back, this, that, and the other thing." I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I didn't play that night with the Exploited. Bobby Hamble played it. I said, "Yeah, Bob, you're from Brooklyn. Go ahead, go for it."
Right. Man,
He's a good guy. I love Bobby. He's a pigeon guy like me. I used to have a pigeon coop on my roof.
I saw that in the documentary. I thought that was super cool because it's such an old school thing,
Bobby Hamble from Biohazard just called me about 3 months ago. Because he had to go to Pennsylvania to see his mom, because his pops passed away years ago, and they left the pigeon coop in the back, and they were going to knock it down. And he called me up like kind of sad. He said, "Yo, Vinny, I'm at my mom's house. I got to knock down the pigeon coop." And I'm like, "Wow, Bobby, I love you, man. It's a thing,
Well, yeah, I know, and you have a whole thing with birds too, in general.
Yeah, hey, I got a parrot tattooed on my arm. How's that? I got another bird over there. Look at that, my kid's name on it with a string of hearts.
Well, that's awesome. I thought that was super, just learning different things about what you're interested in the movie and in Roger's book is just cool. It adds so much to the music. After you listen to the music now, with all the stuff we know about you guys, it just adds so much to it. Like you said, at L'Amour's, there was a lot of big bands playing. There was a crossover period of
Right, that was sort of the crossover kind of thing, with the Suckers and bands like Ludacris and stuff like that. Because we were all on the same label, you know what I mean? Then there was Combat Records. We got it on Combat Records. There was the Exploited, Agnostic Front, Slayer, Voivod. A couple other bands, I forget at the moment, but it was a great, Carnivore. It was a great lineup, a good, real hardcore bands, instead of cheesy metal, I guess.
When Agnostic Front started doing crossover with Cause for Alarm, how did that come about in terms of because your style is very punk rock,
Yeah.
Even on the late 90s when you started doing it by yourself, it's always punk rock. So can you talk about that crossover stuff?
I really had to push myself into it. I really have to, it wasn't really my thing. I didn't really jive too much with it, but I think I added an element to the metal with the hardcore and that the pace of each style connected somehow or something to that effect,
Yeah.
And I wrote the Eliminator, and when I wrote that riff, I was thinking of Smoke on the Water. The way Smoke on the Water.
Yeah, Deep Purple, yeah.
And I did the same kind of thing with the Eliminator. I guess I like using the whole neck of the guitar.
Right.
I'm like some guys who say, "Why go over here when it's over here?" Hey, I want to go over there because I think it sounds better.
That's a classic song, and but whose idea was it? Was it Roger's idea, or was it your idea? Where it was why don't we switch it up a little bit and go in a different bit of a style this time?
Well, it's more Roger than me.
Okay.
And I'm game, because I could play the guitar. I'm not the best guitar player in the world. I still struggle with guitar playing, and then we got signed onto these labels. So the labels, you're in with a different crowd. Music was changing. Either make the jump again,
Right, I see what you're saying.
We did the old crossover jump, and then I jumped again with Madball. That new school jump where you slip the guitar a little.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that's later on. Back to '86, and that era, the crossover era. Yeah, I made the jump, and we added in another guitar player, Alex, Big Al, one of my cigar buddies. He's in my cigar club. You know, he was in the band, Cause for Alarm.
Right, fantastic band.
So, you know, we were all friends, and we wrote some music. I wrote some hardcore riffs. He wrote some metal riffs. You know, you write a regular, whatever. And we put it together, and, you know, we were involved, we were practicing in Carnivore's rehearsal space in Brooklyn, because we were all friends, and Pete Steele helped us write some songs.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Roger was talking about that too.
Yeah, Pete loved me. He was a great guy, great friend. You know, I'm glad I had a lot of good nights with him.
It was one of my favorite bands, Typo Negative. And actually, one thing interesting before we move on that Roger mentioned is that if you listen to the record and on one speaker on the left and then one speaker on the right, you hear you playing like in more of a punk rock style, and then the other guy playing more metal, and it's a true crossover record, which is
I must have been 2 or 3 bars behind, and I don't mean in music. Musical joke, you know. It's a music joke, you know.
Hey, Vinny.
I use it to anybody. You play drums, right?
I play drums.
Yeah. Why don't I go out drinking with drummers?
What's the joke?
Not because they're deadbeats, because they're 2 or 3 bars behind.
Oh man, that's good. Wow. Where do we go from here, man? Hey, I want to ask you, because we were talking about crossover and metal, I want to transition and ask you some favorite lists, top 3s. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. If you had to name, like, you know, maybe a top 3 metal bands, who would your top 3 metal bands be?
Well, I have imaginary bands, like they're metal. One is called Trachea. Well, I'm trying to find a guy with cancer in his throat so he can sing like, hey, how you doing, you know? I think that would be the hardest fucking thing ever. Have a guy, you know, like sing with the with the cancer hole in his throat. That would be hard. Trachea. Don't mind me, I'm crazy. But I like Obituary.
Okay.
Malevolent Creation, and you know, those metal guys. You know, because I was very involved with a lot of metal people. Right. A lot of metal guys love it, the hardcore stuff. You know, yeah. I mean, they like it more than now today. The kids adapted more to a metal style. You know, compared to the old. I mean, you still get the old school hardcore bands like United Blood. You know, Sid's band, and you know, there are a lot of, and Steve Gallo's band.
Oh, Kings Never Die.
That's right. See, I had a trouble because I know he's a little cocksucker.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Kings Never Die.
Well, yeah, well, because back then, you know, I guess it was rough with like the metalheads versus the punkers.
Yeah.
Versus the hardcore
but
kids.
No, we kind of I brought them in, you know, and welcomed them in because we were on the same label. They're decent guys. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, really, you know, no big deal.
Sure. And then if we go into, I have a feeling I know what your answer is going to be here, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If you were to go with your top 3 non-New York hardcore bands, meaning hardcore bands outside of New York,
okay,
what would your top 3 be?
Okay. I like Ignite. I'm a big Ignite fan. You know what I mean?
Great band.
Yeah, man, one of my favorite bands. Now, I'm no emo kind of guy, but I did buy the Tickle Me emo for Christmas. When you tickle it, it cries.
Right.
Tickle Me emo. Okay, forget about it. Another joke over there. I love terrible jokes. Oh, wow. Let's see. Suicidal.
Okay.
You know, I'm going West Coast. Death by Stereo.
Okay, cool. I thought you were gonna say. I thought you were gonna say SSG.
Total Chaos. You got. I mean, I could name bands all night long. You know what I mean? U.S. Bombs. Or you want to go to the East Coast? You want to go down to Florida? You know, they got all these pockets. You know, Anti-Heroes from Georgia. We used to do the Beer Olympics down there.
Oh wow,
you know,
in Georgia.
Yeah, Mark used to put from the Anti-Heroes. Gary was a Marine. He sounded like Sam Kinison.
Oh man.
when he sang. I always joke to him about that. He had a beautiful dog, you know.
Well, I thought SSD was your favorite band.
Well, now we're talking Boston.
Sure.
Yeah, you got. I still act like Al from SSD. Yeah, I get on stage, I push every. Get out of the way! Get out of the way! I just talked to Al recently too.
Yeah, man.
Then you got like the FUs up there, Jerry's Kids, the Refrigerator Heaven, all those bands, you know, the Flat Shops and all those.
Absolutely.
You know, Boston. Then you got the Connecticut's where you got the Violent Children and Vatican Commandos. And then, you know, different pockets. Texas, you had the Big Boys, Zero Boys.
DC.
Yeah, the DRI. I think they're from Texas. Some of them are from Texas. Nicky Sicky's from there, whatever. Verbal Abuse.
Right.
Verbal Abuse. I always get them two mixed up. Well, both. I like them both.
Okay.
Verbal Abuse, Verbal Assault. Who cares?
And
great people.
What if we're going Oi bands? Who are your favorite top 3 Oi bands?
Mickey Fitz is Business, the Blitz, the Cockney Rejects.
Okay.
The big Cockney Rejects. I used to do the Cockney Rejects in the early AF days. I used to do an intro with a Cockney Rejects song. I forget which one it was.
We can do anything.
Right, that's right. Okay, thank you. I'm so excited, I forget. You know, you know.
Hey, whose idea was it to cover "Crucified" by Iron Cross?
I really don't know. Maybe Roger, me. I think it might have been me. Yeah. I really don't know. I think it might have been me because I think we started doing that maybe before Roger might have been in the band.
Okay. Yeah. No. So
we're going back almost 40 years, so I'm a little, you know.
Hey, no worries.
But I talked to Sab Gray and from Iron Cross, and he was like, "This is a little while ago." He's like, "Yo, Vinny, thank you for doing that song, you know, because it saved the song."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, you said you saved that song.
You turned that song into a huge classic. I mean, it was already classic to begin with.
Fight 'em all.
Well, I got a couple.
Oh, I love. Look, I'm getting chicken skin because I love that.
Man. That's amazing.
When there's no one on his side. I love that. Oh, great lines.
Iron Cross, man.
I love that. The Blitz. I used to have the 45, the Blitz with Warriors.
Okay.
I used to play it on 33. The 45 I used to play on 33.
Right.
It slowed down. The lyrics were slurred, but the music stood. And it and then now Nidge, who passed away, and he invited me up at CBGB's also to play the Warriors. They were going to play the Warriors. He said, "Hey, hold on a minute. Vinny's here. He wants to play the Warriors with us. His favorite song." I got up. I played the Warriors with the Blitz.
Man.
I had so many great memories in CBGB's. I played with Carnival, the Blitz, Exploited. Yeah, I can't remember how many other bands I might have played with there. You know?
I saw a video of you playing guitar with Ignite once.
Oh,
yeah.
I had it. Yeah, what a great song. A Place Called Home.
Yes.
He does it in Hungarian.
Yeah.
You ever hear the Hungarian version?
Yeah, his voice. His voice is.
Well, because it has that Russian feel. La 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 la. It's such a feel to it, you know?
Absolutely. Zoli is one of the greatest. Man.
Oh, I love Zoli. I love everyone. Craig, I love him. I don't know which one I like better. Zoli's a germaphobe. So I used to give him a kiss on his cheek, like, "Come here, Zoli, give me a kiss." Boom, boom. And take my, you know? And I always tell, I took a singing lesson off him for like 2 minutes, just so I could say Zoli. It's my singing, my vocal coach. I had to I go around telling everybody, because I sing. Why are you such a great singer in Stigma band? Because Zoe is my coach, vocal coach.
Hey, man.
So anyway, he used to warm up singing, and he used to put a towel around it and go, you know. I said, why do you do that? He said, He says, I don't want to annoy anybody. I said, you annoy everybody anyway. What's the difference?
Hey, Vinny, we got 3 minutes left, and this is the most important question I'm going to ask you in the entire interview. Give me top 5 Italian restaurants in New York City and or pizzerias. It could be a pizzeria or an Italian restaurant. Top 5.
Well, I live, Angelo's burned down. We caught on fire.
Okay.
That was one of my favorites. For pizza, Lombardi's. It's right up the block.
Okay.
I throw my cigar and hit it. Right here, my mother's kitchen. Italian restaurant, you said, right?
Yeah, it could be Italian restaurants and pizzerias, but give me 5.
And it's rough for me with Italian because I'm really picky. Because even when I'm in Italy, somebody tries to cook for me, and they give us like the pasta, and they put a little stuff, they throw the cheese on it. Like, yeah, what do you think? I'm like, yeah, you kidding me? Who do you think I am? From Ohio? Get out of here.
There we go.
Okay, so we're talking Italian restaurants and pizzerias. We got Lombardi's at number 1. We've got 1 so far. Well, let's get a couple other ones.
Cafe Fatale, that's right in my building, 285 Mott Street. It's a good cafe. Let me pour the coffee.
I got it, Vinny.
We're pouring coffee over there. We're having coffee, and we got cannolis. You see the cannolis?
God damn, I wish I could be
Look at that, cannolis over there. Cannolis, cigars, coffee, that's good. Let me have a cannoli first.
Hey, no problem, please.
You take milk?
Yeah, I'm good, Vinny.
Everybody have coffee.
Cheers.
Get the coffee over here.
Hey, bring it over here.
Woo! There he is.
Yeah, a little bit, Vinny.
Oh, look at that.
Chris, thanks for this interview. You're a really great guy, man.
This is the cannoli, people. Look at it.
There he is. There's the cannolis.
Jesus Christ, that is delicious.
Oh, that looks amazing. There he is. Hey, thank you, man. This is a treat. This is a big treat. Take a bite. There he is.
Good. Great. Sorry about that.
Hey, no worries. I'm taking notes here because I want to go where Vinny Stigma eats in New York. That's why I'm asking.
You can come here anytime, Chris.
Oh, man, I'm down. Let's do it.
Number, you call me, you come, I cook.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay.
I'm going to show you another thing as far as Italian food. This place, right here, Di Paolo. Can you see that?
Oh, shit. That's where you get your cannolis?
Best raviolis.
Oh, best ravioli.
Ravioli. The mozzarella is so good. Everything in there is good. But now you got to call ahead of time because of this fucking thing, and then you got to go pick it up. I mean, I want to go in there and I want to cut the, the cheese is so delicious.
Is that a grocery store or a restaurant?
It's a gourmet Italian.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Check it out.
I'll check that out. So,
he does seminars for other chefs, olives, oils, all kinds of like bucarab, all these things he does, vinegars and this is really good.
Hey, let me just tell everybody watching real quick because we got a lot of people joining us. Everybody, this is part 2 of the Vinny Stigma interview. Part 1 is on the St. Vitus Bar YouTube channel. I'm sorry, the St. Vitus Bar Instagram channel. And it'll be on my YouTube channel in the next few days. And part 2, which is what you're watching right now, will be edited in there. So if you missed the first part, don't worry. It'll be up online. You can watch the whole thing. And we just talked a lot about some cool history, and we're still going for a few minutes here. Vinny, while you're chewing your food there, I'll let everybody know we're talking about the best Italian joints in New York right now before we get to our last questions, and that's Lombardi's, and I missed the second one.
Cafe Natale, right downstairs.
Okay.
Angelo's and my apartment.
There you go. Okay, we'll go with that. We'll go with that.
I'm gonna cook for you. I'm cooking for you.
Oh man, that would be amazing. I'll bring a bottle of wine.
Yeah. You got it. We could have done the interview here.
Hey,
Maybe next time. I cook. We do the interview while we're cooking.
Hey, can we get Gallo in there too? Can we bring Gallo down there?
Yeah, we'll get Gallo.
Okay. All right. So here's my last two questions for you, Vinny, and we'll let you go.
No, don't let me go. I want to hang around and have a coffee.
Hey, no worries. I just we don't want to take up all the night, but so if you, I don't know if you see Agnostic Front going 5, 10, 15 years from now. You're a natural entertainer. Do you and you did some acting. You had a movie called Near Blood that was very entertaining. Could you see yourself doing stuff like spoken word tours, storytelling, comedy, more acting? What could you see yourself doing if Agnostic Front stops?
Well, I don't think Agnostic Front's going to stop anytime soon, and I'm 65 years old, so I mean I'm going to push I'm definitely want to be here till 70 in the band, and that's pretty cool. I think
Fuck yeah.
I know a lot of guys that couldn't do it. I'll sleep on wet cement if I have to.
Oh,
I have a mind that like I know I'm going to go on Monday. I'm coming back next Thursday. And until then, I'm having a good time. Until this stupid virus had to hit us.
Yeah. But yeah, so like, I mean, we don't want to see AF ever stop, by the way. But I was wondering, do you have like a book? You working on a book right now? Is that right?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay. What about the acting? Do you I know you did a little acting as well.
Yeah, I could do a small role. I was working on a thing called Mafia Priest. A priest that goes out and kills people.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would never figure a priest would do that. He shows up. What happened? I don't know. I'm here giving him a.
Jeez, man.
Then I got to take confessions. You open the fucking, excuse me, Father, if I have sinned, this, that, and the other thing. I didn't go to school the other day. I didn't do this. Hey, get the fuck out of here. Come back here when you got some real fucking crimes. Now, get the fuck, go waste my fucking time. I'll be a priest, baby.
I mean, hey, man, I would pay to see you perform if you were doing some comedy or something.
I would do it.
So, yeah. Well, depending on how all this works out, maybe we'll get you at St. Vitus to come do some stand-up or some storytelling for everybody.
Dude, I'll try that. I never done it before, but I'll try.
Well, hey, man, I just wanted to finish the interview before they kicked us off and ask those last questions. Do you have any final shout-outs or last comments you want to say to everybody watching right now?
Well, I want to thank all the guys, Nicky and I, Big Phil, Frankie Cigars. I want to thank all my cigar guys, all the cigar crew. Pete, Johnny Blue Eyes from Dogs, and I want to give a prayer. I'm going to light a candle later for all my friends who passed during this time of 2020, the worst fucking year.
Unbelievable, and I'm sorry to hear that, Vinny.
Yeah, a lot of us passed. Too many. Because if I named them, I'm going to forget one.
Of course.
Well, my thoughts and prayers are with everybody out there. If you ever see me, you could come right up to me. If I can help you, talk to you, interview, I don't take a picture, do this, do it, jump off a roof. I don't care. I'm in.
I love that. You're very. You got a great, inspiring story and spirit about you, and it's awesome, man. And I want to thank you, obviously, for doing this. I want to thank Roger for helping me to promote this. And I want to thank Sid for coming over there and making it possible. And my old friend, Mike Gallo. Yeah.
Tommy Rat. I forgot to mention him.
Oh, yeah, Tommy the Rat. Well, look, I definitely want to come down there sometime and have some cannolis and some pasta one day. And I just want to let everyone know right now that you got to pick up the new Agnostic Front record. And yeah, thank you everybody.
Get loud, baby. Get loud.
Get loud, baby. All right, guys.
Chris, thank you very much.
Oh, Chris, one
Yes.
really quick. I know we do have a little time in the interview. Would it be fair to have some of the audience ask Vinny a question?
Absolutely, absolutely. Now we had a couple questions earlier that were popping in, and I think we lost them though. Guys, we're gonna take a couple questions from the audience, and if you have any, why don't you throw them in there right now, and we'll do that. While we're waiting, I'm gonna do another shout out to Sid. Sid, why don't you tell everybody one more time about your show and where they can check it out?
My big old bobblehead right here. Yeah. All right, guys. Like I said, if you into the agnostic front and all that good shit, go on to mixlr.com/SDK Sound System. Obviously, like if you guys know about Black Blue Takeover, they have a station on MixLR. Just look up SDK Sound System. You'll find me on there, and I have a ton of shows in the show reel. Oh wait, we got one. Vinny.
Black and Blue Radio, I forgot that.
Vinny, why are you a Steelers fan?
Because I like the bad guys. They got no cheerleaders. Well, now, tell you the truth, there's no football anyway. But I don't know. I like them. They're old school. They're tough. You know. I don't know. I have a lot of friends in Pittsburgh. So,
are you answering the question about the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Yeah.
Okay.
And someone, I just caught this one. What's the story with the moose head lager sign behind you, Vinny?
Oh, I don't know. I was drunk and I walked out of a bar in Canada once with it.
And a lot of
Good night, guys. The big Neros. They were like, "Hey, get out of here."
all right.
I was a guest bartender in Canada one night. I got invited in Toronto.
Oh, somebody just asked Brock.
And
question pop up.
And I don't know. They gave me the mirror, and I need a piece of Canada with me, you know, because I have a lot of Canadian friends. They're good guys up there. John, my friends, the hack, a bunch of guys up there. You know?
Yeah, you got a lot of stuff from around the world. I remember seeing something about the beer mugs.
Yeah, I got a good Stein collection.
And that's from oh wow, look at that. And yeah, I think Isaac was talking about it on an interview once where when he was young.
He dropped a new album yesterday.
Okay, check out Isaac's new album, Danny Diablo. Hey, we got a question here from Andrew Castle, Druce Willis. Cannolis or Bracioli?
I ate both. I got them both. I don't know. Well, you need food, and that's for dessert. So I'm both.
Okay, there you go. He likes them both.
Good combo.
Now, what is this question over here from Duet Hecate? Where's your Rip Van Winkle record?
Because I used to sing, I do doo-wop.
Okay.
You know? And I used to go, come on, you want to sing with me?
I'll try.
Come on, just keep saying Rip Van Winkle, Rip Van Winkle. Pom pom, Rip Van Winkle, Rip Van Winkle. Keep saying, pom pom pom. Fell asleep in the woods one day, and 20 years of my life that way. Now I know that girl is mine. We're gonna have a real good time now. Rip Van Winkle, Rip Van Winkle.
Oh my God, this is great stuff, man. Now we got other strange questions here. Okay, Nick Sinetto, meatballs or sausage and peppers?
I think the sausage and peppers, because I could always use the sausage in the gravy. So I think it's a lot easier to cook too. You gotta get the meat, you gotta you get the fucking sausage from the Palo, and you just fry them up in the thing with the sausage, it's the peppers and onions that you gotta put on the side. But yeah, with a nice piece of Parisi bread, put the sausage and peppers in there, forget about it.
There you go. There's your answer.
I can do that for you if you want one day. That's easy. That's a napolitano. That's a real napolitano dish.
Yo,
Vinny, somebody asked plans on another Stigma record.
Well, yeah, we have some material for a new Stigma record. Not too much, but with this whole thing, I just cut the new album with Agnostic Front, Get Loud, And I went on that first major tour. I said, 2020, I start my year off great. It started off great, and then bang. So, but as far as the Stigma thing, yeah, I know I get asked that a lot. I really want to do at least an EP, you know?
Okay, yeah, that was the question. Oh, that was another question here. Where's the Stigma country record?
What record?
Country Stigma country record.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I had a country song in there. Yeah, we had a country song in there. I think Hanan played on it. Steve Donald.
Oh, Hanan!
I know he's watching.
Oh, man. That is some good shit. I would love a country record from Stigma. All right. Well, I don't even know where else we're going here. We got some wacky stuff. I don't think these are... What's going on here?
Madball.
You never got into it with him, Chris.
Oh, shit. Madball. That's right. Okay, so Madball... You were in Madball after one voice.
All right. Give you a beat.
We skipped Madball. Let's get into Madball for a second. You did one voice with AF. That was with Matt Henderson, and then
right.
you were talking about talk about that. Set it off.
Okay, let's go back a little bit. From the crossover from the '86, now we're talking '92. We did the one voice. And that's where I made the jump again to the new school hardcore, you know, like style. And but before we did that, we did the EP, Set It All, Dropping Many Suckers, and Ball of Destruction. And I, as a matter of fact, there's another band on there, an old school, Colossal Man. Oh God, yeah. That was from. And then I did Set It Off in '94, and then, you know. I'm on that album, the two EPs, and the best of.
And you left. You left to go back to AF.
Yes, I left to go back to AF, but I didn't want to record the new album, the second album with Madball, because I wasn't going to tour it, and I didn't want to record it and jump off, because I don't. You know, you're going to do the record, you do the tour.
Right. You got to finish.
I don't want to you know, let them do the new record with a new approach, a new guy.
Yeah, and I mean, you do a little bit of that new school, like you went back to Agnostic Front. It started back on that punk rock tip for those first few records with Jimmy Coletti on drums and with Rob Kabula on bass, and then you went back to that sort of new school sound with another voice. And you know what's cool, actually, I noticed on the later records with Agnostic Front. It's like a mixture of both. You take both styles and you really blend them in a way, not like it's crossover, just like you got the oi in there, you got the punk in there.
I always had a little oi in me anyway, though I never wore Fred Perry. I'm not a Fred Perry guy. I don't play tennis, okay?
Oh, man.
That's why I wear Fred Perry.
I tried to look my best today, you know? But Sid, thank you for bringing that up. We didn't really talk about Madball too much, and I had so many questions about just the whole New York history and then AF. But it's so cool to know the connection, like I was saying. And if it wasn't for you and Roger, Freddie and Hoya and their whole career right now, I guess probably wouldn't exist the way it has, you know. And they became.
Between Agnostic Front, Madball, Stigma, and Roger's solo band Disasters and Alligators and stuff like that, you know how many we wrote mostly half of New York hardcore music.
Unbelievable.
I mean, out of the bigger bands, you know what I mean, like the Murphy's Laws or the Sick of It Alls, and we wrote a lot of music, through the years.
We got a couple questions coming in since we decided to stick a little longer, and this one here is from who's TA? Vinny, what's your favorite AF song? Love you guys.
Okay. With Time, I think With Time, it's something different. That's where I act like Al Burrell during that song. And Craig, he's from Boston now. He's like, and he gets a kick out of me doing that, And I push him out of the way. Get out of the way, and walk around, you know.
Yeah, man. Yeah, With Time is a fucking classic. I watched. I played in Super Touch very briefly with Mark Ryan.
Mark Ryan, great guy.
Yeah, and
Super Touch is one of my favorite bands.
oh hell yeah! I mean, I didn't play on a record. I was a live drummer for them briefly.
Okay.
But they were doing With Time with we had a couple. Yeah.
I hear from Mark every now and again.
Yeah, Mark's the best, man. He and I know he did a lot of stuff with you guys when he was in Death Before Dishonor.
I cracked my head open at CBGB's dancing to his band.
Unbelievable, man. You know, it's funny because he's a youthful guy too. When I met him, I didn't realize that he had been around so long. I thought he was my age. You know, he still looks like he's in his 20s.
Yeah.
He did vocals for you at that benefit.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Dave from Vision. We were just talking about Dave from Vision. I still have his number in my phone.
Wow.
Yeah, and I call it every now and again. It was dead, but I haven't called it in like a long time. So one day I'm going to call and if they pick up, or if they get the voicemail, I'm going to, hey, Dave, it's me, Vinny. I did it with his brother. I showed his brother, look, I got your brother's phone number. I'm never going to erase it out of my phone, you know, because I carry it with me. It's a piece that I just carry. I carry New York hardcore in general, and all the guys in my heart, you know?
Absolutely, man. He was a very important person in the scene.
Yeah.
We got a question from Chucky Boogie Brown. Can Vinny talk about when he came out in the 80s on Donahue?
I was the older one at at that show. Older than it was a long time ago. I don't know, it was very long ago.
No, the 80s.
Yeah, 80, mid-80s? 86? Okay. And anyway, they said, all kinds of people, even old people like Stigma. Like, this is 86, they were calling me old. So I got up, he asked me a question. I don't know what I said, but I put him in his fucking place.
Yeah.
I sat down and I said, I don't even know what the fuck I just said. But it was fun. It was like, you know what it is? These people sometimes want to exploit you, make you look like, you are just a bunch of stupid kids or something like that. They should support like the arts like that and kids. Take them in. Don't look down on them. Look in their eyes.
I remember watching it on YouTube, and I think what you were referring to is like they were accusing you guys of having racist lyrics with
everything. Yeah, right. Sure. United Instruments, black and white, punk and skin. Really?
Right. It was Public Assistance. I think they were.
Yeah.
So
it's about my cousin Maria.
Well, you say, what's so cool about that was that like every single band at that time in the New York hardcore scene was in the audience, kind of standing up for themselves. It was such a legendary moment, and I don't know if you guys realized how legendary it was. When it was happening, but to look back at it now, and it's like you see guys in Youth of Today and Token Entry and Chromags. It's really something else.
Yeah, it wasn't the beginning, but it was early.
Okay, we got another question from Bleached Jeans. Share the Mike Ness beer bottle story. Much love.
Mike's a great guy. He's a good guy. Yeah, early hardcore, 81, big deal. The guy throws a bottle, big deal. Hit me in the leg, boom, and that's the end of it. Mike's a great guy. It was just a thing, punk rock.
Shit happens.
I still got the scar on my knee.
Oh man. Well, there you go. We don't want to talk bad about Mike Ness.
No, Mike's a great guy. It was 40 years ago. You know what I mean? And so it was a thing. I'm glad it happened. Like it gives me something to talk about. It connected me and Mike. It's okay. I took a couple of bats in the head. Bottles. It's okay. Stands out there with his pride. Fights when there's no one on his side. I'm a rebel.
Oh man, we'll be here all night with these guys coming in and out asking the questions. But this is great stuff, Vinny. This is great stuff. And what's that?
When you say goodbye, I'm gonna sing you out. So let me know when.
Yeah, go grab the guitar. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Look at that, guys. We're getting a performance right now. We're getting a performance from the one and only Vinny Stigma. Amazing.
Right, Chris, this is it. Right, Chris, I'm going to say goodbye to you in a minute. And everybody out there, thank you all very much. Sid, you're going to be my backup vocal, right? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Chris, I want to say thank you very much for what you're doing. Keep it hardcore alive. You got my number. You call me anytime. Okay?
Thank you so much.
And Chris, all I got to say is, good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. Good night, sweetheart. Well, I love you so. I hate to leave you. We really must go. Good night, sweetheart. Good night. Thanks, guys.
Vinny Stigma, living legend. Sid the Kid on the backup vocals. Thank you guys so much. You guys are the best. I'll see you on the other side ASAP, I hope. All right. Peace out. Peace out, my friends. Oh, man. What a crazy night. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching Age of Quarantine. I don't know what just happened just now. And we'll be back with a lot of guests again tomorrow. And all the past episodes are here on the St. Vitus Instagram, IGTV. And they're on my YouTube channel, Christopher Enriquez. You can watch the Roger Moret episode. You can watch the HR from Bad Brains episode. There's 99 other episodes. And some of them are on Revolver Magazine YouTube channel. But you guys have been great. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Stay safe. Wear a damn mask.